Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be doing the Huddle landing page with alternating feature blocks. So you can head over to frontendmeta.io/challenges. You can scroll all the way to the bottom. It is the 5th challenge from the bottom. You can click on this card and then you can just say restart. And if you have not completed it, of course you're going to have a get started button here, which is going to help you to download the starter files. Why isn't this loading? There we go, get started. And I'm just going to say download starter, which is going to download the zip file required. And then once the zip file downloads, then you can navigate into your download folder, and then you're going to get this zip file that is called Huddle landing page with alternating feature blocks, which I'm just going to say extract here, and it is going to extract into this. So I'm going to right click on this and say open with code, which is going to open up an instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder. And then I'm going to open the design file for this, so the desktop design, and then close this, minimize, and then close this, maximize this, and then let's see. As we begin, then please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and ring the notification bell so that you're always going to be notified of when I upload a new video. So we have the desktop design, we have the showcase. This seems to be some kind of background image, and then we have a section here which has a box shadow, and then we have a call to action, and then we have the footer. Okay, so that seems easy enough to do. So we're going to be building this using Tailwind CSS, and let me just confirm that we have the social media icons provided to us. Let me see. No, they are not provided. That's okay, we can get our own social media images. For now, what I want to do is I want to link Tailwind CSS into my index.html. So I'm going to go into cdnjs.com, so cdnjs.com, and then close this. And then I'm going to search for Tailwind CSS. Tailwind searching. There we go. And then just copy the link tag and then paste the link tag below this. And then I'm also going to create a custom index.css file, so index.css, which is going to be housing my CSS file, and I want to link the index.css file right below this. So link the index.css, and the index.css is going to have our fonts and perhaps our styles. But for now, let's just go ahead and get the font. So we need the Poppins and the Open Sans. So just control click to open this link. To get the Poppins font, we need the what? The 600. And I'm thinking the Poppins is going to be for the headings. So let's get the 600. Where are you? Okay, that took a while to load in. So semibold 600, grab this. And then we also need the Open Sans. So Open Sans, we need the 400 and 700 font weights. So we need the 400, regular 400, and the bold 700 here. And then let's grab the import. Let's copy the import here, copy, and then inside the index.css, let's paste this in. And then let's specify the body should have a font family. Oops, font family of Open Sans with a fallback of sans serif with a font size here of 16 pixels. You don't have to specify this because it's 16 pixels by default, so you can have it in or you can remove it, doesn't really matter. And then let me specify for all the images to have a max width of 100% so that they don't overflow outside of the container in which they are placed. And then let's specify that for all the list items to have a list style type of none so that we don't have bulleted lists. And then I think that is enough for now. We don't have to reset the margin and padding because we're using Tailwind, so Tailwind resets those styles for us. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then back inside my index.html, I'm going to start to build up the structure first before you can move on. And you know what, we can remove this from here as well, just to keep our files uniform. Remove this, and then paste this on the bottom, and then change this to about 14 pixels. That's okay. And then now let's begin to build this out. So the design looks as follows. So we have the logo, and then we have this call to action button. So try it free. So I'm going to grab this, place it inside the header, And then I'm going to have a div here, which is going to be our logo. This logo is going to be an image. The source for this image comes from /images/logo.svg. And then we're going to have a button here, which is going to be a call to action button. Just push this inwards. And I'm going to give this a custom class of CTA, meaning call to action. And then below this header, we're going to have a showcase, and the showcase goes all the way to get started for free. So up to here, I'm going to cut this out, place it inside this section, and paste this in. And then above this section, and you know what, let me just check the mobile design first of all. So the text comes below. Okay, so we're going to grab this once again, place it inside an article, and then grab this and place it inside an H1, and then grab this, place it inside a paragraph, and then grab this and place it inside a button. How is this styled? Button pink. So I'm going to give this a class of btn-pink for the pink buttons that says get started for free. And then below this article, we're going to have another article, and this is going to be our image, our hero image, this one right here. So let me go back to the desktop design because it's a bit more visible. So let's see, we have the hero image where hero mobile illustration mockups should be the one. Is it? That should be it. I think this should be the one. I think this should be the one that is called mockups. So let's have an image tag inside here. The image is /images/illustration mockups. I mean, if it is not, then we're going to find out in a moment anyway. So let's go ahead and let's build this next section. So grow together, and grow together is going to be structured as follows. Let me check the mobile. How is it structured? So for the mobile, the image always comes first. So we're going to grab this part, cut it out. And actually, that's not the correct thing to do. That's not the correct thing. So grow together all the way up to your users and immediately. So from here up to here, we're going to cut this out, place it inside this section. And then we're going to paste this in. And then now this part is going to be one article. So place it inside an article like so. And then above this, we're going to have a div, and this div is going to be our image coming from /images that is called grow together. And then below this, we're going to have another div. And then this div is going to have an H2 that says grow together. So cut this out, cut it out and paste it inside here. And then cut this out and paste it below the H2 inside a paragraph. So that now, look at this. This article is going to be one of this. Where is it? The one article is going to be this. And then the second article is going to be this one. And then the third article is going to be this one. So that's basically how I structured it inside here. So just grab this, paste it inside an article, and then inside a div, and then add an image that is coming from /images / the second one should be flowing conversations. So which one is it? Flowing conversations. And then below this, add another div and paste this in, paste this inside an H2. Is it an H2? Yes, I used an H2. Space this out, and then grab this and place it inside the paragraph. And then, you know what, let's just copy this downwards. So copy and paste. And then once we paste it in, then we need to change this image here into your users, and then change this into your users. It is camel case. Remove this, and then grab this and paste it inside the paragraph. So up to here, paste it in. Okay, flowing conversations. And then this is the form section, which is here. So ready to build your community. So let's grab this, place it inside another section, and then let's just paste this in. And then grab this, place it inside an H2 as well, and then grab this and place it inside a button with a class of btn-pink, so that it takes the same classes as the one on top, and it says get started for free. And then below this, we're going to have our footer. So the footer is going to be this one. So cut this out up to here. And then because you can't have two footers, so just change this into a div, change this into a div. And then here, let's have in our footer element, and then paste this in. And you know what, before you paste it in, let's just grab this once again, place it inside a div with a class of footer-inner, because the footer inner is the one that is going to be holding the content, but the footer is the one that is going to have the background color, so that when we limit the footer inner, then it doesn't affect the background color. So we're going to have that, and then the first thing that we need to do is we need to add in our logo. So add in an article here and add in a logo which comes from /images/footer -logo now .svg. Now footer logo does not exist, but we are going to create it, and the reason why it does not exist is because the top logo is black and the bottom logo on the footer is white. So if we try to use the logo that is provided, then the logo here is going to be black instead of white. So we're going to create this logo, and then what we need to do now is we need to add in this part. Let me see how the footer looks on bigger screens. So the logo is on its own, and then this is one grid on bigger screens, and then another grid, and then another grid, and then another grid. So what we're going to do is we are going to go inside this part, grab this all the way to here, cut it out, place it inside another div, and then paste this in. And then now we can grab this, place it inside an article, and then we can place this inside a paragraph, but it has an image here, so we need to add in the image first of all. So add in an image. The source for this image is /images, and it is called location.svg. And then below this article, we're going to have, how is this structured? We're going to have another article, and let's not have another article, let's just have a UL with 2 list items, and these ones are going to be the font image and then the font number. So let's have an image here coming from /images/font, and then this one is going to have another image coming from /images/email, and then the email, let's just grab this, copy this here, and then copy this and paste it here. And then we have about us to do so we can grab this, place it inside another UL with 3 list items, and then just grab this, paste it inside here, grab this and paste it inside here, then remove this space, and then we can just copy this downwards. Okay, and then we can just change this into career, change this into blog, and then change this into contact us, and then we can remove this. And then finally we have a paragraph here, so just grab this, place it inside a paragraph, and then now what you'll notice is that there is something wrong, but it's kind of hard to detect. But the reason why I'm saying there's something wrong is because the way I structured it, then we are going to be displaying this as a what's it called, as a grid, and this div is the one that houses the text from here. So everything inside the footer except the logo is this div. So what we need to do is, because you can see that if we're going to be displaying the grid on this, then this needs to be one item, and then this another, and then this another, and then the social media icons. So in order to fix that, then we need therefore to grab this all the way to here and place them inside another article, and then paste them in, so that now when we display grid on it, then this is going to be one grid, and then this is going to be another grid, and then this is going to be another grid. And then finally on the bottom, and on the bottom we need this to move outside of the div so that we can add in our social media icons. So UL into LI times 3, and then we're going to add the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram icons. So here let's add an icon with a class of FAB and FA-Facebook, and then here we're going to have an icon and the class of FAB and FA-Twitter, and then here we're going to have an icon and class of FAB and FA-Instagram. And these icons are coming from Font Awesome. So let's go ahead back into CDN.js, and then let's grab Font Awesome. There we go. So just copy the link tag here, and then let's go back on top, and then let's just paste this below here, and that should do it. So let's go ahead and let's save this, and then let's see what we have on the screen. So I'm going to be using an extension called Live Server, which helps me to launch a local development server with hot reloading, so that every time that I make a change in my code editor, then it's automatically going to show up in my browser. So this is the extension right here. You don't have to use it, but this is what I'm going to be using. So just right click and say open with Live Server. And so once it launches, then you can see this is what we have on the screen. So let me close this page, and let me close this page, and then place this to the right, and then I can have my code editor to the left, so that we can begin to style this out. So let's go into the header, and the header is right here. Going to going to give this a class of padding all around of 8, and then I'm going to say display this as a flexbox with item center and justify between, so that all the items go end to end. There we go. And then let's go into this image. Going to give this a class of width dash 40. How does that look? Okay, and then let me say width dash 32, and then for large screens I'm going to say width dash auto, meaning bring it back to the width of the image on larger screens. And then how is this button styled? So it's white. So we're going to do this. Inside here I'm going to remove this class of CTA, and I'm going to give this a class of BG white and padding Y of 2, padding X of 4, and then a rounded of full. And then, you know, let me say padding on the X of 8, and then I'm going to say text slate dash 900. And not slate does not exist on Tailwind version 2 because we are using the CDN. We are using version 2 of Tailwind. So text gray exists on version 2, but text slate does not exist on version 2. And then we also need to say font bold and tracking wide, just to increase the letter spacing just a bit. And then let's save this. Let's see what you have. So it's here. Oh, you know what? I haven't added the background color on the section. So inside this section, and you know what? That means that I would have to display the header as an absolute. So inside here, let me give this a style, and I'm going to give it a background color. And let's grab it from our style guide. So inside here, let's go ahead and grab the very pale cyan, should be it. Paste it inside here. Let's see. That's the one. And then let's go back into the header. Let's position the header as absolute so that this goes behind the header. There we go. And then let's also give the header a width of full so that now this resets back to here for the button. Okay, fantastic. And you know what, I've just remembered as well that this needs to have a, what's it called, a background image. So let's add in a picture tag here. And then this picture tag takes in a source media, so we're going to specify that for a min width of 768 pixels, meaning when the device width exceeds 768 pixels, then you want a bigger desktop background to show up. And this is coming from /images/bg desktop. Is it? Let me confirm. bg hero desktop, bg hero desktop.svg. And then on smaller images, so if your device is less than 768 pixels, then you want the BG Hero Mobile to show up. So when I save this, it's going to break a bit, but we're going to fix it anyway. So there we go. You can see that our background image shows up. So let's just style this a bit. Let's give this a class of width dash full so that it goes all the way to the end. And then now let's go back into this picture tag. Let's give this a class of absolute, so that this is now placed on top of it. And then let's also give it a negative z index. So give this a style and give it a z index of -1. Let's see. Okay, I expected that. So the z index of -1 places the image behind the background color, and that is not what we want to do. So let me see if pushing this above the section is going to fix it. Technically, yes. So z index -1. Let me see, index -1 still doesn't. So instead of placing a negative z index on this, then we are going to go into this section and give this section a class name of relative, which should now place it on top of the image without affecting the image. I still can't see where the image is. Let me remove this background color for a moment. So just cut this out. Just want to be able to see the image. Okay, so that is the image. Okay, width full. Let me see. Let's also say width full here so that this goes all the way to the end. There we go. Let's see. Something is not right. Something is not right. Let me place this back in. And then what do we need to do? So something isn't behaving the way I expect it to behave. So for now, what I want to do, for now, let's just disable this. Let's just comment this out. Okay, so that we're going to have a white background. Or not, we're going to have this. This is class of relative, that's why I want our header to show up. There we go. So let's do this. Let me go into this section. I'm going to give this section a class of grid and grid columns 1 with a gap of 10 to separate it out from this image. And then let me also give it a padding y of, let me say 16. Padding y 16 doesn't look all that well. You know what, let me reduce the padding of the y on the header. So let me say padding y of 5 and padding x of 8. And then let's go back into this showcase. Let's say padding top of 24 and padding bottom of 16. Move it downwards. There we go. And then inside this h1, I'm going to give this a class of font bold, font dash bold, and text 3xl. And then for medium screens, increase the text to 4xl, and then for large screens, increase the text to 5xl. Let's give it a margin bottom of 8 to push away from the paragraph. Let me see. Okay, let's also say text gray dash 800, and then inside this paragraph, let's give this a class of text gray dash 700 and a margin bottom of 8 to push away from this image, from the button. And then inside the btn pink class, then we're going to do this. We're going to give this a bg of pink dash 500, padding y of 3, padding x of 8. Let me say padding y of 2, padding x of 8. And then we're going to say this, we're going to say font dash bold, font dash bold. How does that look? Save it. Let's see on the image, on the button, I mean. Padding y of 2, not 32. And then let's change the text to white, so text white. And then let's give it a rounded of full to make it rounded around the edges. And then how is it on mobile screens? Mobile, is it centered? Yes, everything is centered on mobile. Yes. So we're going to go back inside this parent article, give this a class of text dash center to center everything. And then inside this section, let me see, inside this section here, let's give it padding on the x of 8 to push it inwards just a bit. Now this is a bit too small, so let's give it padding top of 32. How does it look? 40, how does 40 look? Let's just use 40. And then padding bottom, let's change this to 24. Okay, yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. So let's deal with our next section. And you know what, let's just add responsiveness right away, right? So let's say that for large screens, then I want the grid columns to be 2 with a gap of, for large screens, let's increase the gap to 20. For large screens, let's also say place items dash center. Then let's increase this. Let's see how it looks right there. And then let's reset this back to the left for the text. So here, let's say that for large screens, then text dash left, which is going to reset it here. And then let's also add a max width here. So oops. Let's have a max width of 7xl, which should limit everything. There we go. And this is not what I want to happen actually. So the reason why the background color doesn't go all the way to the end is because we are limiting the section with the background color. So if we want to limit the content, then we just need to remove this from here, and we should place it inside another div or inside another parent that houses both articles. So we're going to grab this article from here up to here, place it inside a div with a class of max width 7xl, and then with another class of mx auto. So I'm using mx so I can do this, and it creates a div with these classes. And then when I paste this in, it's still going to break. You can see it breaks, and the reason why it breaks is because now it is treating this div to have one grid only instead of 2. So we need to grab the classes. Is it, you know, actually every class inside here probably. Let me see, cut them out and paste them inside here. Let me see if that will work. That should work the same way. Yeah, it should work the same way. And there we go. So that's just add responsiveness right away. And then let's go ahead and deal with our next section. So for the next section, we have, where is it? It should be this one. So this section, what I want to do first of all is I just want to give this a class of grid and grid columns dash 1 with a gap of around 8. So it just separates them out, and you can't really see it, but it is there. And then inside this article, we're going to give this a class of bg white with a box shadow of 2xl, and then with a rounded dash large on the edges. Let's see how this looks. and of course we see nothing, because let's limit this to max width 7xl and mx auto to center it. And then now we should see we have a card here with a shadow, a box shadow, and it is rounded on the edges. And then inside this article, let's also give a padding all round of 8. And then let's do this. Let's go inside the parent section. Let's give it a padding y of around 32 to push it downwards. So push it downwards from here, and then push it downwards also here. And 32 is a bit large for mobile screens, right? So let's say padding y of 20, and then for large screens, padding y 32. And then let's see how we are going to structure it for mobile. So bring this back, and we're going to say this, let me say padding on the x of 8 on the parent section to push this inwards just a bit. There we go, so that now we can actually see the card. And then let's go inside this article, let's say text dash center, and then for large screens text dash left, so that happens. And then we're also going to do this now on this article, which has these two divs. We're going to display this as a grid with grid columns 1 with a gap of 8 to separate out the text from the image. And then we are going to go inside, let me see, inside this h2, going to give this a class of font bold and text 2xl and margin bottom of 8. And then for medium screens, we're going to say text 3xl, and then for large screens, no, let me just leave it at text 3xl. I think that will be fine. There we go. Let's say margin bottom of 4. Let's say margin top of 5 maybe, to push it downwards even further. Technically you don't have to do this, but let me just do it. And then text, let's say gray dash 800. That should be fine. And then inside this paragraph, let's give this a class of text gray 700. And that should do it. And you know what, instead of doing all this again, let me just copy the classes. So inside this article, copy this class, copy and paste it here, and paste it here as well. And then let's go ahead inside this h2. So the h2, copy these classes and paste them inside here, and paste them inside here. And then for the paragraph, we just need this class, so copy this class and paste it inside here, and paste it inside here, and save it. Let's see what you have, and the class is reset. So shadow 2xl looks a bit too much. So where do I have shadow 2xl? Here. So it changes into about shadow xl. Let me see how it looks. That should be fine. And then change this into shadow xl and change this into shadow xl. And yeah, that should do it. All we need to do now is just scale it up, right? So on large screens, this is how it looks. And what we want to do now is just display this as a grid, as two grids, sorry. So inside this article, we're just going to say that for large screens, then grid columns should be 2. Let me see how that looks. So it places it there. Let me see which one starts first of all, by the way. Is it on the left or the right? So it's on the right first. So this one goes to the right first of all. So let's do this. On large screens, we're going to display this as a flex box, right? Which is going to place them side by side still. But we're going to say on large screens, then the flex row should be reverse, meaning for the first card, then this is going to show up first, and then this one. And then if you want them to take up 50% of like the container, then you can go ahead inside this, the first one that is a flex box, give this a class of, for large screens, let's say flex dash 1, and then copy this, and then inside the second, the second div, paste this in, and now they should be 50-50. And then just move this downwards by going here and saying that for large screens, then items dash center. Move it downwards. There we go. That looks nice. And then now what we need to do is just copy these classes up to here, paste them on this second article, and then inside this div, give this a class of large screens flex dash 1, and then paste it here. Sorry, not paste it, but here as well, we need to give a flex 1. And then on this third article, just paste this in, and then do the same here. So give this a class of large screens flex dash 1, copy this and paste it on this div as well. And then now something is going to be wrong, and you're going to see it. for this second div. So you see how the third div is okay and the first div is okay, but this one needs to come here. So that's very simple enough to do. All we need to do is just remove this. Actually just remove this and it should come here. There we go. Would you look at that, looking quite nice. And so one thing that I've noticed is that I think the line height is a bit too small here. So let me specify for all the paragraphs to have a line height of 1.8 just to space them out a bit. Something's wrong. Tailwind has not loaded. There we go. So just separate them out just a bit. It's not really necessary to do, but for me it looks much better. And then for the next section, we need to build our ready to build your community, this section. So let's go ahead and start this out. So ready to build your community should be this one. So give this section a class of bg white. Let me see how it looks. So bg white, and let's say rounded -2xl, and then let's give it a max width of about 3xl and mx auto. Let me see how it looks. Should be here, but it's not really visible. So let me give it a bg of red 400 just so that we can see it. So it's here, and then let me give it a padding all round of 8. There we go. And then we need to move this to the center. Yep. So move it to the center, move the h2 to the center, give this a class name, and you know what, let's just go inside the section. Let's say text-center, and then inside the h2 let's give this a class of font bold and text 3xl, and then for large screens let's say text 4xl and a margin bottom of 8. And then let's say text gray -800, and then let's copy the classes of the button on the top, which is this one. Copy these classes. Oops, copy these classes, and then just paste them on the bottom where we have this button. Where is our button? Button should be this one. So just paste them in. Oops, remove this, paste it in. So get started for free should be here. There we go. And then let's increase the padding on the top and bottom. So here let's say padding on the x of 8 and padding on the y of 16, just to make it a bit bigger. Yep, there we go. And then we can now remove the bg of red 400. We can now remove this so that it defaults back to white, and you can add a very slight box shadow here if you want, just to elevate it a bit. And then now next, let's deal with our footer. So the footer is going to have a background color. The footer has a background color of, is it very dark cyan or grayish blue? Let's just try them out. So inside here, let's give this a style, give this a background color, and set it to this. Should be it. That's the one. And then let's go back inside the footer. So inside this footer, let's give the footer inner. Now let's give this a max width of 7xl and an mx of auto to push this to the center. There we go. And then let's give this a padding on the y-axis of 16 and a padding on the x of 8. Okay, there we go. And you know what, it's not even padding on the y of 16. It should be padding top. Increase the padding top massively, because this one needs to come like almost into the footer. So let me just say 52, and then padding bottom 20. So that now I'm going to go back inside this section and add a negative margin to it. So here I'm going to say a negative margin on the bottom of 20 to push it downwards into the footer here. Okay, and then let's also add a class of relative so that it comes on top of the footer. Fantastic. Let's still push it downwards. Let's say margin bottom 32, and that's much better. Would you look at that? And then now let's do this. Let's style it out for mobile, because mobile is much easier, obviously. And I've just noticed something. So this doesn't need to go all the way to the edges. So let's have a margin on the x-axis of 8 to push it in it. Or not. It doesn't push it inwards. Why don't you push it inwards? So margin on the x of 8 doesn't work. Why? Oh, margin x of auto is here. So let's say this should only apply on large screens. There we go. Okay. Oh, and I've just realized Our headings need to have a font family of popping. So for the H1 and H2, because we don't have any H3s or H4s or H5s or H6s, so we specify a font family here of poppins on the headings with the fallback of sans serif. There we go. So that now the font family of poppins applies here, and tailwind is not applying. It's bothering me. There we go. So let's go ahead into our footer, and inside this footer, so inside this article and inside this paragraph, give this a class of flex, so that the paragraph comes here and the icon comes here, and then let's say items dash start, so that it is on the top, and then let's give it a gap of about 2, or let's say 3, and then let's say text white. There we go. And then let's go inside this image, give this a class of margin top of about 2 to push it downwards just a bit, or let me say 1. No, 2 is much better. Okay, and then let's go ahead, let's go inside this article. The article is this one. Let's go inside the UL, give this UL a class of margin top of 3 pushed away from this paragraph, or let's say margin top 5. And then let's go inside this second list item, let's give this a class name of margin top of 5 as well, to separate them out just a bit. And then on this first list item, let's give this a class of text white. There we go. And then flex to bring it to the side, and then items dash center with a gap of, what did I have a gap of here? 3, gap of 3 to space them out. And then just copy these classes, so here up to here, copy them and paste them here. There we go. And then below this, let's also have a margin bottom of, let's say margin bottom 8 pushed away from these links. And then on this UL, let's give this UL a class name of margin bottom 8. Probably I should have used grid to separate this out, but I've already started using margins, so let me just continue using margins. And then let's say give this to be a flex box with a flex of column, and then let's give it a gap of 4 to separate out the links. And then inside here, let me say, I think I can say text white here and it will work. There we go. And then let's just grab these classes, so copy them up to here and paste them inside this link. There we go. And then let me see, how are these styled on mobile? So they are to the center on mobile. So what we're going to do is we're going to go inside this UL, give this a class of flex and item center, and justify center with a gap of 4 gap. How did I manage to type all that? Gap of 4. And then inside here, let's give this a text of 2XL and text white to make it bigger. There we go. And then just copy this part up to here and paste it here and paste it here, and that should do it. Let's increase this gap to about 5, separate them out properly, and then let's give it a margin bottom of 8, to push away from the copyright. And then inside this copyright, let's give this a class of text dash center and text dash white and text dash small. And then let's see, there we go. So that is our copyright and that is our footer. And not, our footer is incomplete because we don't have the logo. So the footer logo that we have here, so let's go ahead and create it. So let's just copy this logo. So copy, and then inside the images, paste it again so that we have logo copy, and then rename this into footer dash logo. And then when you rename it, then it should appear here, but you can see it's still not visible, right? Because it is the darkened version. So we are going to change this pink color into white. So let me just get it. Let's see, where should it be? It should be on the bottom. Let's change this first into white. So FFF, change that to white. And then on the bottom, let's change the fill color here to white as well. So FFF, change it to white so that we're going to have that. And then now let's style this out. So let's change this into class of width dash 32. I think that's what I had on the header as well to begin with. Let me just confirm. Yes, so we had the width 32 on the header, and then on the footer we're going to have the same thing. Oops, where is it? Here it is. And then for large screens, we're just going to say width dash auto, and then let's add a margin bottom of 8 to push away from this text. There we go. And then now let's just start from the bottom going up. Let's add responsiveness for the footer. And you know what? All we need to do is just display this as a grid, I think. Yeah, so let's start from about here. So from about here, let's display this as 2 grids. So let's go inside this div, and then inside this div, we're going to give this a class of grid. Let's say for medium screens, we're going to say grid and grid columns -2 with a gap of about 10. Let me see. So 1, 2, so 1, 2, and 3 and 4. And then I'm going to say that for large screens, then the grid columns should be 4. So let's see right around here. So we have 4 grid columns. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we need this to come back to the top. So let's go ahead into our social media right here. And then let's say that for large screens, then the items should be start. We should bring it to the top. There we go. And then now what we need to do is just bring this text to the right. So let's go here and say that for large screens, then text dash right. Bring it to the right. Fantastic. And then now let's see what is missing. I think all that is missing is the background image here. I think that is it. So first of all, let's limit this header so that it doesn't go all the way to the end. So let's go ahead into our header, and our header is this one. So let's say that for large screens, then the max width should be 7XL. Let me see. Sorry, not for large screens really, but let's say that the max width should be 7XL anyways. And then we're also going to say MX Auto to center it, but it's not going to be centered because it is positioned absolute. So in order to fix that, then we need to transform the header. And then for large screens, once again, we need to say bring it to the left by a half, so 50%, which is going to do this. You can see it is offset to the left extremely. And then what we need to do next is we need to say that for large screens, bring it to the negative left of 50%, so minus translate on the x-axis by a half, so bring it back to the original position. And there we go. And then now what we need to do is add our image. Why isn't our image showing, by the way? I mean, I know I commented it out, but absolute positioning is annoying. So our image shows up here. Now what we need to do is, let me see if I position. Oh, you know what? I just realized I had a relative class on this section that had the background color. So like the background color was coming on top of everything. So what we need to do is inside this div that is holding this text and this, then we just need to add a class of relative on it, and that should fix it. There we go. So you can see that now the text is on top of the image is behind it, and then this is also behind it. And then now we need to fix our logo, because you can see that the logo now goes behind like this image, and I think for this one as well. Yeah, so we need to go back into the header, and inside the header let's just add a z index of 10. That should fix it. There we go. Would you look at that? So that now you can select this and you can select this, and that is looking quite nice. It does look quite nice. So all you need to do now is submit it. So let me create a GitHub repository and log into Netlify as well to submit it. So log in and then create a GitHub repo. So create a new repository. So I'm going to call this repository Huddle alternating dash feature dash blocks, like so. Just making sure that I've spelled it correctly, and then create repository. And then let's go ahead and commit this to GitHub. So Ctrl J to open up your terminal, and then let's go ahead and copy this link, and then let's say git init to initialize an empty git repository, and then git add all to add everything to the repository, and then git commit -m. Let's say initial commit. Oops. And then let's say git remote add origin, and paste in our remote repository, the link to our remote repository, and say git push -u origin main to push everything to this remote repository. So once it pushes, then we should be able to see our repository right here. And there we go. So we can reload this and it should appear. And there we go. So we can see our repository. So let's go ahead and commit it, and deploy it. So deploy this from GitHub, and the repository you want is the Huddle alternating feature blocks. Let it search. We can let this remain open. We can close this, but we need this, so we can say submit solution, because we need to submit the solution. So deploy this, and then let's just say deploy site, and then let's change the site name. Let's say TsbSankara. Let's say Huddle alternating feature. feature. Okay, that is the limit. And then save this. And then I think it should have deployed. Let's confirm. There we go. Oh, not yet. Okay, so now it has deployed, or not really. It should have. I mean, it doesn't usually take that long. There we go. So we can visit this link, and we are going to have this, so we can view our application. My internet seems to be a bit slow. Looking nice. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's copy this link. This is going to be our live site URL. Copy this link, which is our repository URL, and submit this. So I'll go to mobile first Huddle landing page with alternating feature blocks. Okay, and then let's just say submit solution. And there we go. So we can view solution to see how we did against the design. Let's see. Would you look at that? Looking quite nice. Quite nice. So this is the solution, and then this is the design. And would you look at that? That's looking okay as well. Looking okay as well. And here looking okay as well. Nice. So that is going to be the end of the video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.